Boom! What's going on, everyone? It's Steve Larson. Welcome back to another episode of One Funnel Away Stories. This is actually the second episode in the show. Last episode I went through and I asked Russell Brunson about his One Funnel Away story. Now, we always say, you're just one funnel away. Usually that is not the first funnel someone builds, though. And so today I thought, while last episode we got to hear from Russell and his One Funnel Away story, I thought I'd share with you mine. I actually went through 34 tries over about 5 years. And I recently went through and I started brainstorming all of them, and I wrote them all down. I thought it was much less than it actually was. Welcome to the show. Let's cue the intro, and I'm going to teach you guys, I'm going to share with you guys how many tries it actually took me to get a first big success with sales funnels. If you're like us, you've dreamt of building your own business empire and the freedom it can bring you. But today there's hidden traps on the path of entrepreneurship placed by Big Brother and the big brands. So now we're forced to answer hard questions like, how do we grow a real company without taking on debt or giving away ownership? Or how can we get leads and buyers for our own products when there's so much competition with deep pockets? Finally, those questions are answered, and tens of thousands of people are taking the challenge to walk the new path of entrepreneurship. Follow this podcast while I ask about their shocking journey from failure to freedom. You can join them too at onefunnelaway.com. I'm your host, Steve J. Larson, and you're listening to One Funnel Away Stories. What's up, my friends? Okay, I'm excited for today's episode. I didn't think it was this many. Okay, so here, first of all, I printed it out on a sheet. Well, I brainstormed on a notepad, then I went to a whiteboard, then I finally wrote it down. I was like, I think this is all of them. I'm not actually sure if it is or not, but I'm pretty sure this is all the tries. Now, I'm bringing this up because a lot of you have been in the One Funnel Away Challenge. Some of you have not taken it yet, and that's the promise of ClickFunnels. That's the promise from Russell. It's the promise of everything that we do. You are just one funnel away. One funnel away with having the cash you want, right? And remember, if you haven't seen the episode that Russell and I did, the previous episode of the show, the very first one, I strongly encourage you to go watch that. He goes and he shares with all of us, how he actually came up with the One Funnel Away theme. Now, it was actually when we were sitting down, we were brainstorming the theme for Funnel Hacking Live 2017, and he was writing down, you're one funnel away from being wildly rich. And, we sat back, we started looking at it, and we were like, this is kind of a random, I don't know, feels kind of hollow, feels almost kind of dirty, Then he goes and he deletes it, and he goes, you're one funnel away from having the life you want. And it's like, well, some people aren't motivated by that. Some people already have the life they want. They just, want a little extra cash, right? And then we deleted it, and anyway, pretty soon he deleted it one funnel away, and I think we all just kind of were like, oh my gosh, just leave it like it is. You're one funnel away. Whatever that means for you, you are one funnel away. So I just want to share with you guys some of my journey here. I'm not going to go crazy into detail on each one of these, but that's the theme of the show, though. I wanted to go in, and this isn't about the One Funnel Away Challenge per se. This is actually about the stories and all the garbage that entrepreneurs usually have gone through before they have that overnight success, quote unquote. I am a 7-year overnight success. And so anyways, I listed them out here, and I just wanted you to see how many tries I personally went through. When I first started this game, I was actually young. I had the entrepreneurial twitch when I was in high school. There was these laser pointer pens that my brother and I, in high school, we went down to a Walgreens and we walked in there, and I saw these laser pointer pens, and they were like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like this really nice pen with a laser pointer and light on the top. They were selling them at Walgreens for like $2.50. So my brother and I bought them for $2.50. We went back home. We grabbed my mom's labeler, and we put like $12 on it, $12 to $18. And the next day in high school, we walked around, and we sold these laser pointer pens for a huge markup, right? 5 to 10 markup on what we were buying them for. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So the next day after school, after we sold those pens, we went back to Walgreens, we bought them again. And we did it again. Pretty soon we were collecting like hundreds of dollars a day as high school students walking around. Anyway, we ended up having to go, we got in huge trouble for it, which was kind of sad. And had to do a bunch of community service. And anyway. But from that point on, I kind of had like the itch, you know what I mean? We'd jump the fence and go to the public golf course and go grab all the golf balls from the rivers and the streams and the ponds. We'd clean them up and sell them right back to the golfers. We did all kinds of stuff like that. And so anyways, there was a yard business that I had where I went door to door and I got a whole bunch of yard business. Anyways, anytime that we wanted to go do something, we would think through like ways we could pay for it. And that's a habit that I had from a very young age, actually. So anyway, but I'm going to start this from like 2007. I know you guys probably can't see that right there. It's a little bit bright with all these lights on me right here. But 2007, I started this yard business. I was selling these laser pointer pens. I graduated from high school, and I didn't really want to go to college at that point. I went and I did door-to-door sales, and I actually was selling security. And I went and I sold security, and I was in California. I was in LA, and I did not do well. I actually got like 1 or 2 sales for in 2 months. And it's because I didn't have any drive. I liked the idea of making sales, but I didn't like actually doing it. You know what I mean? And stick with me, because like this is a big moment, because I actually went back and I started actually creating a lot of success, but it wasn't until I learned to fall in love with sales that stuff really started working. Okay, this is a big key lesson right there. Anyway, I went and I was mostly following Robert Kiyosaki by that point, and I started learning like Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant and going and diving into those things. In 2010, a few years later, my dad and I enrolled in some of Robert Kiyosaki's courses. They were $35,000, I believe. 30 or 35 grand is one of those. And we started following Robert Kiyosaki's stock and options courses for financial trading. And my dad and I, he took it way further than I did. And but it opened my eyes to the way money moves in the economy. And it was really fun for me to go learn and see that. But I was like, oh man, what's so funny, you guys, is a lot of the things like, at the time of me making this episode right now, we've done probably coming up on 18 one funnel away challenges. You know what I mean? We've gone through the rigmarole. We know what the false beliefs are of the people who come inside the challenge. Guess which one people say a lot? Well, you need money to make money. I had that one too. That was actually one of the same false beliefs I had when I was doing that stocks and options thing. So 2010, I was like, well, you need money to make money in the stock market and the options and all that stuff. And I was thinking you had to make a lot of it. So I backed out. I believed my own false belief and I backed out. And this is why some of the passion that I have in one funnel away, this is where it comes from. In 2011 for me, I hit it hard. My wife and I got married, and we had nothing. I mean, we had nothing. 2011 and 2012 for me were big years. I started, that's when I went back. We were in college. My wife had already graduated, but I was still going to school, and I couldn't feed her. And it was a very hard moment for me. I'd come back to my apartment and be like, hey, what's wrong? She'd be like low energy, laying in bed still all day. She'd be like, oh, nothing. Same thing. I'd come back the very next day. And same thing. Come back the very next day. She'd still be in bed. And I was like, what's going on? You all right? I want to make sure you're like not sick or something like that. And the reality is that she was so weak. She just couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't feed her, and that was, you want to get brought low. Holy crap. And so I realized, I started doing the math, which is very simple. I couldn't take jobs in our little college town and still make it. I couldn't. I was, people were working for like $3 an hour. I mean, I couldn't work like 3 or 4 of those full time and us make it. So I was like, crap, like we got to live on loans and I got to find another way to make money. And this is really one of those moments where I started realizing that to be able to make your own money was really to control a lot in your life, right? If you could control cash, I could control like 90% of what happens in my life. You know what I mean? Or at least influence it. You know what I'm saying? I can control a lot. I can control majority. Money doesn't solve all your problems, but it does help solve a lot of them, okay? It does. And I started realizing that. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to learn to be an entrepreneur. I had that itch when I was younger. I had that bug. Let me lean into this. And so I started doing, so you see where I'm at my sheet right here. We're still at the top right there, man. I went through a lot of tries to get this to work. I went into residential and commercial real estate, and I was following a guy at that time named Sean Terry. And Sean Terry was teaching how you could flip contracts of houses in the closing period with certain clauses. And so I would go and I learned how, I put up road signs all over the place, looking to sell houses fast for cash. And then I went and put up other signs at the exact same time, looking to buy houses fast for cash. And I got 300 phone calls in a month. And I went and I started putting together people who were looking to buy and people who were looking to sell. And so I could kind of take the spread. And it worked okay. I got 7 contracts on houses, but I still had not learned how to sell. So while I think I had 5 residential contracts and 2 commercial, a couple multi-million-dollar ones, I didn't know how to sell. But there was this repeat pattern that started from this point on. In 2011, that's really when I started realizing that everything that I was doing was involving the internet somehow. Okay. I took like $300 that we frankly didn't have. I went and I bought a listings list, an inheritees list to get all the houses of people who had just inherited a house, get all the listings of those who inherited a house. I sent yellow letters to them. If you're familiar with real estate at all, that's what, anyways. And it was intense. Anyway, I didn't learn how to sell. I didn't sell any of them. It was very, very painful on my pride and my psyche because I still couldn't barely feed my wife. And I was over here and I felt like I was wasting time and money. Anyone on One Funnel Away ever felt like that before? It's like, oh man, is this the one that's actually going to work? You're like, man, I hope so. And if it does, it's going to change your life, right? Now, I didn't have One Funnel Away stuff. I didn't have .com Secrets. That wasn't even out. I didn't know who Russell was. I didn't know who ClickFunnels was. And none of this stuff. In fact, the first 17 tries I went through that I've remembered and documented had nothing to do with funnels. I didn't know what a funnel was. So I thought success was all based on the product. Anyway, shortly after that, I found a mentor who was helping me try. What we were doing is people wanted to go do cool things with their 401ks. So we would combine 401ks and use it as a down payment to go get a massive piece of real estate. And it worked. And in fact, the first time we actually had a guy come in and just self-fund the entire thing. So we didn't have to do the 401k thing. But we had a whole bunch lined up. Anyways, this is really fun. I learned a lot from that guy. He was a cool mentor. I went into next after that, I think it was diamonds. And this is real. I was like, oh my gosh, I really am using the internet a lot. Then I went, I did the diamonds thing was crazy. Clean diamonds, by the way. But it was cool. We would send a wax replica of what the ring was going to look like to the client. They would send back tons of pictures of diamonds and of diamond rings that they liked. And someone would go in and create these custom bands. It's really awesome. And send back these wax replicas to see if that's what they liked. And then they go make this custom diamond. Crazy on that one. Then I went and I created an artist website. This is a website for an artist trying to sell his comics. I mean, anyway, great guy. Totally chose the wrong audience for me. But that was the first time I ever created anything on oh, no, that's the second thing. Oh my gosh, there's more in here I forgot to put in. Anyway, that's really the time I started creating WordPress websites. And I started tinkering around with squeeze pages. That was kind of that wasn't, that was popular, but not that popular, squeeze pages and that principle and stuff like that. And it was very hard to create them if you weren't a coder or didn't have people to code for you. So I was like jerry-rigging stuff together in WordPress to figure that out. Shortly after that, I started really getting into Pat Flynn and I started following him. He was doing a bunch of stuff. He was teaching how to be an affiliate. And I was like, man, I believe that success was 100% based on the product at that time. So I was like, well, shoot, look at all these failures I have. Man, I might as well go sell someone else's product that I know is working. You know what I'm saying? And it was rough. It was hard for me to go and swallow that pill, but Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Investing, Smart Passive Income, I started following what he said and I just started creating tons of YouTube videos. That's what got me understanding. This is back in 2012 probably. That's what got me understanding video and how to create it and what causes good video. And it opened my eye to look for cool and interesting topics of things to film. And, which was very, very helpful. It's interesting because everything that I do now, there was still something back in my history that I thought was a failure that makes me do what I can do now. You know what I mean? Like in high school, I was a head editor of Yearbook. I didn't do any sports. I wished I did, but I didn't. But I was a head editor of Yearbook, which actually it wasn't for copy. It was for design. Design and layout. I used Adobe InDesign like crazy. And I designed our whole yearbook and the layout of it and everything. Right. And then at this time, then I find out what video is. Then I figure out how to create cool articles, right? It's like all these skills will stack. I'm telling you this. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, you guys, is so that you can see how all of these are built on themselves. There is no way I would do what I'm doing now without failure number 32. You know what I'm saying? 33, 34. And too many times someone will be like, oh man, this doesn't work. It's like, man, no, you just suck still, and that's okay, right? That's not to be a belittling saying. I'm literally saying you're not talented enough yet. That's okay. I don't care how cool an F-16 is. I still am not qualified to drive it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it's the same thing in these areas. We're giving you the keys to something very powerful, and you got to learn how to be a driver, a different kind of driver than with different skill sets you may not be tracking. So anyway, after I did the YouTube videos thing and I started cranking that out, it gave me kind of an eye for this stuff. And I went and I started following Gary Vee a lot and started learning about social media. And that's when I started doing door-to-door sales for pest control. Okay, so I'm now in year 2013. Okay, 2013, I go and I'm doing pest control sales. This is the first time I ever got a sale because of the internet, was pest control. Pest control is at door-to-door is actually what got me on the internet. I was walking around and I was like, there's got to be a better way for me to go and get leads than me just waking up every day and going and knocking on people's doors. So I started putting our services on things like Craigslist. I had no idea you need to post your pest control license when you do that, by the way. So I got a call from the state or something like that. And they're like, hey, the Department of Agriculture, you got to take that down. I was like, oh, crap, sorry. But I started getting tons of sales. As many sales as I was getting knocking, I was now getting from phone calls every day, right, about. And it like ruined me. I was like, there's another way to do this? I can have people call me instead of me go to them? Oh my gosh. And it kind of ruined me for sales. But it opened up this world. I left door-to-door sales. I walked back. I didn't make as much money as I thought I was going to. And then I went and I started writing ebooks, following Pat Flanagan. And I wrote this ebook and I put together my first sales funnel on WordPress, which sucked. And I went and I launched it, which to me just meant that you made a Facebook page and it was garbage. And I go and I put this thing out there. And I mean, it was terrible. I think 2 people bought it. I think one person was by accident and the other person was my mom. and I spent all this money putting this ebook together. And I was like, dang it, man. Like, why isn't this working? Okay. It's about that time I joined the Army and I was like, I got to at least get some kind of security here. So I joined the Army and, anyway, I joined the Army and that was about the first time I joined my first, network marketing company. I joined my network marketing company. I'm following Mike Dillard a lot. I'm following a lot of guys and I'm starting to see how all these pieces are starting to fit together. Okay. Now understand that there wasn't a source that I knew of that was kind of like showing the roadmap from beginning to end. Right? I was like piecing all this stuff together, right? Anyway, I come back and I'm in school again, and that's when I start getting into learning how to drive traffic. I was like, man, this ebook sucked. This network marketing company that I was in, it sucked. And I was like, wait a second, what? I probably suck, right? I wasn't that good. And I started learning how to drive traffic, and I found this course on YouTube that this guy had posted part of his course on YouTube on how to drive huge levels of traffic to any page. Well, it started working. And I started sending like tens of thousands of eyeballs to these different pages. My college started looking at that going, we don't know what you're doing, but that's amazing. And they hooked us up with Paul Mitchell. Okay, and at this point, I'm following Frank Kern. I'm starting to see who Frank Kern is. I was following a guy named Vic Strausen. I can't remember how to say his last name. Sorry, man. Okay, that's also when I was doing stuff for Paul Mitchell with my buddy. That's when I ran into Russell Brunson. And I was like, what is .com Secrets X? Okay. I feel like it's important for y'all to know this. This is why I'm going through all this. When I was doing stuff for Paul Mitchell, we were sending tons of eyeballs to their page. But they came to us and they asked this dreaded question. And I never knew how to answer it. And I always tried to sidestep it every time they'd start to bring it up. Steven, right? Steven, Ben. Man, you've done a great job sending all these eyeballs to our page. But we don't want just eyeballs to our page. We want people to walk into our store. We actually want conversions. And funny enough, until that point, I had never come up with that plan. I was just, which I know is funny for all of you now, having gone through this challenge and being part of the ClickFunnels world. But you understand, a lot of this stuff was not that available yet by that time. Even just however many years ago that was, which was not that long ago. You see what I'm saying? And so we had, I had this gut-wrenching check, like body check, oh my gosh, I don't know how to convert. And so I started going in, I started realizing I needed to learn how to create conversions. How do you create conversions? That is what started getting me into what marketing actually is. Now, that was a big key moment for me because when I started realizing that I didn't know what marketing was, that was actually also when I realized that there was a difference between sales and marketing. I was riding my bike back to our little apartment and I was like, why am I still broke? Why am I still broke? It was about at that time that was happening. Why am I still broke? And I had this real conversation with myself and I realized, oh my gosh, number one, there's not even a place on the internet where someone can actually buy anything from me. That's probably a huge reason why I'm still broke. Number two, I think that what I learned in door-to-door sales was really powerful, but I don't think it's the same thing as marketing. And I don't think marketing is a logo like I was being taught in my marketing degree at that time. And again, I know it's funny for me to say this, but you understand, like, this stuff was not like, it was not as readily available as it is for everybody right now, right? So anyway, I started going in and I started working with different health companies, started working with other security companies, started working with other network marketing companies, and I was trying to build funnels, but I was doing it inside of GetResponse. GetResponse at the time, and I don't know if they still do, they have this page designer that you could go and drag and drop, click save, and that would be your page. And so what I was doing is I was creating these squeeze pages, because I at least knew what that was at that time, from Pat Flynn and Vic and Gary Vee and all these other guys. I finally knew what a squeeze page was. I hadn't really run into Russell yet, but I was creating these squeeze pages in GetResponse. People would come on in, they'd opt in, and then we'd send them to the checkout page. Right? That was literally it. And we'd have an email sequence that would follow up with them. And it worked. And they were making money. And it was great. And it wasn't millions of dollars, but it was working. And it was pulling in, it was selling product. Okay, well, about that time, especially right after the Paul Mitchell thing, that's when I really started running into Russell's stuff. And he taught me with this, he doesn't even sell it anymore, but it's a course that was called DotCom Secrets X. And DotCom Secrets X was a 90-day, it was literally 90 lessons of him teaching some of his favorite traffic strategies at that time. Okay. And I spent 3 months going through that thing. I literally did a lesson per day. And I would usually go till about 2 or 3 a.m. taking notes as if I was going to teach it. I still have the notebook. In fact, I should grab it. Okay. It's a notebook that is, it's almost completely filled. I mean, it is very detailed notes. And when I started seeing that, I started realizing, like, holy crap, not only does this work, and I'm starting to get conversions, not just traffic. I started realizing, like, oh my gosh, I got to follow this Russell guy. And so from then on, you can see it's about 2015. That's when I got my first ClickFunnels account. And I didn't have the money for it. And we bootstrapped our way to have the account. Anyway. And my buddy and I started going, and we created a funnel for smartphone insurance. And we sold smartphone insurance, and it worked. And we got people coming in using getting smartphone insurance through the thing for the policies we were literally making, and it worked, and it was great. But insurance isn't really my exciting cup of tea, so I backed out of it after a while. And I went and I started. That was the first time I ever created a CD free plus shipping funnel. And I went and I bought Russell's .com Secrets book, and I went and I funnel hacked his funnel, and I went and I was like, okay, if he has this on this page and this on this page and this on this page, I'm going to do that same thing, but I'm just going to change the products. I'll change what's sold in there. I'll change the copy, but I'm going to still use the same structure. All right, let's do it. And it worked. It worked. And it wasn't a lot of money, but and I didn't know how to launch it, so I didn't make money for a while. But suddenly sales started coming. And they started trickling in. And I had the feelings to just kneel down and just bawl. Because I had worked my face off for years by that point. Okay. I had tried and tried and tried in these 3 to 6 month rotations. I was trying. And when I say try, it's not like, well, I tried and it didn't work. I was actively beating the street, walking around, selling people. I had walked down Main Street selling people just off the street before. When I wasn't doing door to door, okay, just walking down the street selling people. I mean, I was doing everything that I knew how to do in order to make it work, which is why I believe eventually it did. Okay. Anyway, I started, now that I knew who Russell Brunson was, and I just drank everything that he had. And I read .com Secrets when I was at an army training, laying in the dirt, M16 in my right hand, .com Secrets in my left hand, in the prone for 10 days. And that's how I read it. And I left that trading and I came back to college and I was like, my world is over. I don't know why. I was about to finish college in like another semester and I was like, what the heck? This is so powerful. I think I had 2 semesters left. No, I did. I had 2 semesters left. I had my senior year left. But in that time, I created a fundraiser mud run funnel. I created a water machine funnel, and these things started making like money, like way more money. All the pieces that I had failed in the past, because of .com Secrets, it took all the parts and things that I had put together in the past that didn't quite work. Boom, here, this is how this works. You were close. This is how this works. You were close. This is how this works. You were close. It was 17 tries over, 5 years before I knew what a funnel was. That's this dotted line right here. Okay. Then I started working for Russell, and I had one of the most humbling realizations I'd ever had in my entire life. Okay. Imagine this. You get hired to sit next to Russell Brunson and help build his funnels. Okay. Because you're next to who you are, you continue to build funnels in the morning and the early morning and late evening, which I did. But I still wasn't making much money. Do you know how humbling and much of a side slap that is? A face slap? You know how embarrassing that is? I had to realize that a funnel builder is not the same thing as a marketer. And there's lots of people who create a funnel who make no money. So I was like, well, okay then. I thought I just needed the funnel. Now you do need the funnel, but one funnel away also includes learning how to market it, right? And that's what I started learning and started realizing. And so I started going through tons of tries, and my marketing skill is what got better. I actually progressively have become much less of a skilled funnel builder, but I've gotten leaps and bounds, worlds better at marketing. And that's why my revenue continues to increase at increasing rates, okay? So I went and I created Sales Funnel Radio over the next 3-4 years. Sales Funnel Broker. I started doing funnel coaching. I started becoming an affiliate for ClickFunnels, and I started selling a lot of ClickFunnels stuff. And I started practicing the mechanics of what it meant to be a marketer, and it started working. I mean, it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. That's when I did a relaunch of a product I did way back here in my first 17 tries. And that changed my life. This was the one that started making $1,000 a week for us, pretty much on autopilot. That changed our lives. Not only did it help me realize, like, holy crap, I'm getting close. Okay. But it also, like, it validated so much. It let me go in and pay off our student debt. It let me go in and we went on a vacation. We paid down the car. You know what I mean? It changed our lives. That second launch of this CD product that I had done way back in the day. No one was buying CDs anymore, so I had to redo it. But the relaunch of it, $1,000 a week. And I was like, what the heck? This is insanity. Okay. Then I started I was doing supplement funnels. We were doing different proteins and such. I was doing e-com funnels. There was a specific e-com funnel we did for fundraising. It was very cool, very meaningful. I started doing real estate sales funnels, which I own that .com. Don't go there. There's nothing there yet. But anyway, I started doing this program called Funnel Feast way back in the day. I did my first $11,000 day, right? I did more than 10 grand in a day. That is when my eyes rolled back and I was like, what the freak, right? And I was still working for Russell all this time. I would just wake up super early. I'd wake up at 5. I would ride my bike into the ClickFunnels office, which is about 4.4 miles away. I know. 4.4 miles away. We moved a little bit closer, still like 3 miles, but I'd ride my bike 3 miles in. I'd be in there at 6. I would grab Russell's microphone from his computer and I would plug it into mine because I didn't have a nice mic, and I would do my podcast. And then I would take his mic and I would put it back in his computer and I would just hustle and I would start building this next piece, right? And that's how it worked. I'd work from him for 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'd go back and hang out and be dad and husband. And then at about 10, I'd continue to work from 10 p.m. to midnight. I'd sleep from midnight to 5 hours. I was like, I'll survive. I did that for about the first 9 months working at ClickFunnels. Just hustling, okay, to get something out the door. And it started working. And I started making as much money as I was getting paid over there. And I was like, this is crazy. And it started changing my life. Okay, and I'm saying this because I want you to understand like how powerful this is. Now, I'm bringing up all these products. This stuff is not sold anymore. I started selling other additional products that I do continue to sell, so I'm not going to bring them up here. But I just want you to know that this doesn't include the near 500 funnels that I built at ClickFunnels. I'm not going to say me, but I was part of them. You understand? And for the first year, there wasn't anyone else. It's just Russell and I for the most part. But the reason I'm bringing this up, you guys, is because I want you to see like, you're one funnel away, but don't lose heart if it isn't the right one. If you're like, man, that launch didn't go like I thought it would. Okay. Oh man, that didn't, you know how much more followable I am because I went through all this? You know how much more followable Russell is because he went through what he did? If we just popped right out and we were these one-hit wonders, it would be very hard for me to stand up and say, you can do this. if you choose to make it happen, right? It'd be super hard. Now, I know it was a long episode. I was going through a whole bunch on this, but I just want you guys to realize that you are literally one funnel away. And the talents you're learning here, they'll continue to stack on themselves and build on themselves. And you're like, oh, I remember back on try 12 when I was doing this, I can go use that same skill set and I can go kill it because of that skill set I learned at number 12, right? And I go in and suddenly I started using other parts of other products as bonuses in my current things and realizing that I could repackage them and put them together. I could make sexier offers. Oh my gosh, I remember a guy that I met back on try 13. He was super cool. Remember that guy or that lady I spoke with back on number 17? Let's grab them. And what I started realizing is not only my marketing skill was going up, not only my digital assets were increasing, okay, my Rolodex was getting bigger. And I started knowing who the who's who were and who to go to and who to go hire for things. And that was just as valuable. That was just as valuable as the product or the funnel itself. In fact, one time I was sitting again next to Russell and he was like, and I said, dude, it's crazy. He started showing me a lot more of the tries he had gone through. This is several years ago. And I said, it's amazing how much you've gone through. And he goes, you know what's funny though, is one of the major things that I have over a lot of people is I have spent 15 years putting together an epic Rolodex of just the people I trust, the ones I know will get it done, those that I can reach out to, and the team has really helped me affect my own speed. And I was like, that is awesome advice, okay? Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode of One Funnel Away Stories. That is my One Funnel Away story. From there I went on, and when I decided to leave my job, which none of those tries were a part of that I went through with you, it took me 13 months to hit my first million. My next million came 7 months after that. And then I had my first $1 million day the next month. And the run rate we're at is significant. And I'm telling you that because it wasn't like, I've heard a few people say things, and I'll say this and I'll be done here. Oh, Steven. Oh, Russell. I think I've missed the .com bubble. Oh, Steven. Oh, Russell. I think I've missed the boat on this whole funnel thing. Guys, I'll tell you that 2 weeks ago, I was doing something that I learned week 1 in my funnel education. That hasn't changed, right? The model hasn't changed. The vehicle hasn't changed very much at all. So what's changed between 7 years ago and now? Me, right? That's why I love the game so much. It's this proving ground where you get to become somebody you didn't know you could be, at a speed that you honestly would not be able to create on your own. That's why I love the game. Guys, welcome to One Funnel Away Stories. Welcome to the show. I'm going to continue to ask people about their journey and some of those things that caused the hockey stick, right? What was that? What was the thing? A lot of failures, a lot of crap for a while. And then suddenly, oh my gosh, look at all that. Okay. Just know that you're going to have haters. In fact, I'm wearing my Fueled by Haters shirt. Yeah, look at that. Wearing my Fueled by Haters shirt. You're going to have haters. You're going to have people who aren't, are not on your side. That's okay. It's all part of the journey. And just think of it as a journey. Fall in love with the process, not the prize. And you'll find you have a lot more endurance in this space. Guys, thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for trusting Russell, myself, and ClickFunnels on the One Funnel Away Challenge. If you've not taken the challenge, go to onefunnelaway.com and go grab it. Most people take it multiple times also because there's a lot in there. And they use it to focus on building their next funnel, whether that's the bottom of the value ladder, the middle of the value ladder, or the top. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you really need to go check it out. It's for new entrepreneurs. It's for existing entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter if you have a product, if you don't even have an idea yet, okay? It is for you. It is meant to take someone who is brand new, right? And take them all the way through funnel build and launch. We won't even crack open ClickFunnels until week 3. There's a lot of stuff you got to do ahead of time, and it's not about the funnel. All right, guys, we'll see you guys later. Go to onefunnelaway.com. Thanks for being a part of the show. Please subscribe. Go to iTunes, go to onefunnelawaystories.com, and you can subscribe right there as well. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.